All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. I'm your host, Andrea, and you all know I'm bringing you commentary you can use. Hold on, y'all. I don't know if I had the sound down on my laptop, so I'm just gonna say it again. Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. I am your host, Andrea, and I'm bringing you commentary you can use. So today is what? Today is Tuesday, y'all. Today's Tuesday, right? Tuesday, January 18th. Yep. And I hope that you and your families are doing well. Thank you all so much, those of you who tune in each week whenever I do go live and I upload new content. I want to say thank you all so much for supporting the channel as well as being a subscriber. If you have not subscribed already, what are you waiting on? Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay connected with me. You can stay informed when I do upload new content every single week. So you all let me know in the chat. Let me know how you're doing. How was your day? I hope you all are doing well. You all know that all across the United States, um, there's been so much that has been happening recently. For those of you who follow the channel, you know I have been reporting on weather conditions in my area, which is the southeastern part of the United States. We recently experienced what was called the winter storm. And so, with that came, of course, snow. You all know that I uploaded a video right here on the channel. And I was outside, I was live, and I was reporting right there in the snow. And so, um, thankfully, my family and I, we were safe. We didn't experience a power outage, but nonetheless, we were prepared in the event that took place. So, no matter where you're watching from, whether you're watching from the East Coast, West Coast, North, South, Midwest, or maybe you're watching from another part of the world, I want to say welcome and thank you all so much for your support. So, you all know that I have been reporting on topics such as food shortages. Just yesterday, my most recent video before this one, I went live and I talked about the fact that there are more food shortages, as well as there are more food shortages that are coming. And I also talked about how in grocery stores, I'm seeing, maybe you're seeing the same thing, empty shelves in the grocery store. So, I started thinking and I said that I'm going to do a special video where I talk about different items that you can use, that you can get to be prepared in case there's an emergency, for example, such as a winter storm. But then you all know I like to share resources with you, share information. That's what the channel is all about. We're living in what seems like uncertain times. A lot of things are going on. And the purpose of the channel, what I shared with you all back in my very first video, y'all, speaking of very first video, I'm almost approaching 100 uploaded videos on the channel. Can you believe that? It's hard to believe, but again, thank you all so much for your support. It seems like yesterday that I started my journey here on YouTube, and next month in February will make 1 year since I've actually had the channel. So many of you all gave me congrats on yesterday, and I want to say thank you again for your support. But as I was saying, we're living in uncertain times. So many things are going on. Many people say, it's almost like you have to expect the unexpected. So, you all know here on the channel, I share resources, news, and information, commentary you can use. And one of the resources that I have access to, I was looking at the information, and there was an article that talked about 10 real emergencies. And that's our topic for tonight, 10 real emergencies that you may want to prepare for. Now, not saying that these things, these events, these emergencies are going to happen, but with so much going on in the world today, who knows if something, if this type of emergency would happen in your area. And if it did, would you and your family be prepared? So, I want to share some information from the article that I read. And again, this information is not meant to scare you, it's not meant to make you fearful, but to at least make you aware. These are real emergencies, real situations that have even happened in the past, that are currently happening, or based on talks amongst countries or factual news events. it could very likely occur in the near future or sometime in the future. So, again, I want you to take the information. I want you to think about it. By all means, share your thoughts, your comments in the chat. And I want you to consider the information, take what you can from it, and make a plan to be prepared in the event that such an emergency take place in your area. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Again, thank you all so much for your support. Let me share my screen with you. All right, so tonight's topic again, 10 real emergencies. 10 real emergencies you must prepare for. Okay. All right, so let's talk about it, y'all. I'm going to go to the next slide. Now, um, the first emergency, okay, you all know on the channel, those of you all who have been following me for a while now, subscribing, you all know that in the state of California, I reported on a couple of months back about the wildfires that were raging in the California area. You all remember that? You all let me know if you watched the videos or you remember me sharing information about what was going on in the state of California. Okay. Even more recently, there were wildfires raging in the state of Colorado. And so, the very first emergency that I want you all to consider that you may want to be prepared for, especially if you're in the area, state like California, out west, places where it's not uncommon to have wildfires. I want you to consider this information. Okay. You all make sure that you, if you find this information to be helpful at any point in the video, please make sure you hit the like button so that more people, other people can see the video and get the information. Also, share this video with family members, friends, those you love and care about. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay. All right. So let's talk about wildfires. Now, you see the caption that's here. I'm going to read it. Now, it says, according to NCW Life, okay, and I quote, it says, the 2021 National Wildfire Season was the longest and the most destructive, okay? The number of wildfires nationwide and the acres they burned both set records in 2021. The wildfire season also saw a record number of days of high fire danger this year. Overall, the article says there were 48,487 wildfires that burned more than 6.5 million acres, y'all. That's a lot of land. Okay. Now, the recent firestorm that ravaged a suburban area in Colorado, I just talked about that, how recently there are wildfires, maybe even still happening. I'm not sure. I haven't read any recent reports on that. You all let me know right now if you're watching. Are the wildfires still going on in the state of California? I'm sorry, not in the state of California, but in Colorado. Okay, the article also says the recent firestorm that ravaged a suburban area in Colorado is a perfect example of why everyone should prepare for a possible wildfire. Okay, so you all let me know your thoughts on that. Okay, so wildfire is one real emergency. If you're in that particular area, again, where wildfires are not uncommon, you may want to be prepared. Some ways that you can be prepared for a wildfire, the article says, stock up on fire evacuation mask and blankets, for example, fire evacuation mask and blankets to help you get out of your home quickly and safely. Okay, and of course, there are other measures that you can take along with that, but that's just one suggestion. Okay, all right, the second type of real emergency, and we just saw this recently with what happened in Virginia. The second type of weather um, the second type of real emergency, rather, is interstate winter weather. Interstate winter weather. Now, According to the caption, it says a winter storm the first week of January 2022 left thousands of motorists stuck on I 95 in Virginia for 15 hours or more. Okay, the winter storm, the article says the winter storm event led to extreme delays, multiple car accidents, and stranded drivers. In addition, many were forced, listen to this, y'all, many were forced to sleep in their vehicles overnight in the cold temperatures. Many ran out of fuel. Okay. Now, the article does go on to suggest always keep emergency supplies, such as lightweight aluminized blankets. You all have heard me talk about here on the channel having emergency survival blankets. It looks like a big sheet of aluminum foil, but what you do is you just take it out of the package and you want to cover as much as your body up in the emergency blanket so that you can stay warm if you're ever in a cold condition where you want to preserve your body heat. Okay. And also, the article suggests you may want to keep food in your cart. I know now, especially being in my area, that we just went through what was called a winter storm. During that time, if we had to go out, we made sure we had, whether I had to go out, all of my family, we had to go out together, or if my husband had to go out, I made sure that there were blankets in the vehicles. I even sent food, took food out with us. Um, and I'm going to make a video where I share some of the things that we have in case of an emergency, some things from um, our survival stash, I guess you could say. But another thing you may want to consider is having, and I picked this up from Walmart. It's basically an emergency kit for your car. It has jumper cables, safety vests, first aid kit, different things like that that you want to keep in your car. Because with everything that's that we see happening in the news here in the United States and other parts of the world, you just never know when you're going to be in a situation. And I could almost guarantee that the day that many of the Virginians, they went out and they were driving on I-95, just going about their way, their daily routine, I could almost guarantee that they never expected to be caught up in the situation that they were in. Okay, but let's take a look and see exactly what the news had to say about what happened in Virginia. Okay, thank you all so much to those of you who are watching now live, or if you're watching by replay. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being here. Now, according to the article, this information came from Business Insider, and the title of the article says cars trapped on Virginia's I 95 are stuck with 4 inches of ice under the vehicles, officials say. Okay, now let me read the caption for you. Uh, on the screen, it says cars trapped on I 95 in Virginia are stuck with 4 inches, y'all, 4 inches of ice beneath them. Marcy Parker, district engineer for Virginia Department of Transportation, told reporters. Now, according to the article, it says motorists have been trapped on the highway for almost 24 hours, y'all. That's a full day after intense snowfall hit the area beginning early Monday morning. Now, the article goes on to say that I 95 was officially closed around 8 a.m. local time on Tuesday due to the pileup of cars and the fact that the process to remove them was taking longer than anticipated. That is according to Parker. Now, the article also shares that Parker said she expects all of the cars to be finished clearing by this evening, at least in time for Wednesday morning's rush hour traffic. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide and continue. Now, listen to this, y'all. I was wondering, okay, well, was there not a warning? Like, what happened? How is it that you have all these people driving on the interstate and not knowing that all of this snow is going to be happening? So, according to the article, it says before Monday's storm began, Parker confirmed that I 95 was not pre treated in anticipation for the snow because the storm, the article says, was expected to begin with rain, which would have washed away the treatment. Okay. As a result, the article says, as a result, vehicles stuck on the interstate are sitting on top of 4 inches of ice. So it sounds like um, government officials, they were anticipating rain. They were anticipating that um, the weather would start with rain, but it ended up being snow, and it turned into 4 inches of snow. So it sounds like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like that the government officials themselves were not prepared, or maybe they were expecting it to be a different weather situation than what it turned out to be. Okay. Thank you all so much for your support. I appreciate you all. Okay. All right, let's continue. So, the second real emergency that you may want to consider preparing for is the interstate winter weather. Now, let's go ahead and go to the third one. Contaminated public water. Y'all, I want to talk about this because on the next slide, I want to ask a question about a current event that I saw just recently in the news. So, let's talk about contaminated public water. Okay, now the article says America isn't a third world country, so we expect to have clean running water whenever we want it. But this isn't the case. Water contamination, the article says, in America is a real issue. Whether it occurs from chemicals making their way into our water supply or old pipes breaking down, there's a real possibility the water you are drinking isn't safe. Now, we can go back a little bit further and we can talk about what happened in Flint, Michigan, other parts of the country where people were drinking water and the water contained lead, other harmful chemicals. But, we just never know. We're not in control of our water supply, so to speak. And, you know, who's to say that the public water, those who drink public water, aren't drinking something that could actually be harmful to them. Okay. Now, the article does say even more worrisome. Listen to this, y'all. Even more worrisome are the cyber attacks on water supply facilities in the US in 2021, with hackers specifically altering the chemicals in our water supply to harm us. Did you all know about that? Did you all know about the cyber attacks on the water supply facilities in the US in 2021? This actually happened. Let me see if I can find it. I'll do some more research on this and bring you all up to date information. I want to say, did it happen in Florida? I would have to double check. I don't want to say the wrong area, but I want to say it seems like I remember a situation like that happening in Florida. I'm trying to see if I can find it really quickly, but if I'm not able to find it, okay, here it is. Yep, it happened in Florida. Let me see if I can pull it up. Give me just a moment. And this is something that you can do research on as well. All right, let me see if I can bring up some information on that. Thank you all so much for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you. Okay, so this article came out in 2021, February 9, 2021, so almost a year ago. And the title of the article, this is from CBS News. It says, Feds tracking down hacker who tried to poison a Florida town's water supply. Okay. This happened in a water plant in the Tampa Bay city of Oldsmar. Okay, so I'll do an episode on that and bring you all some more information. But again, y'all, these are real events, things that have occurred, and I want you not to be afraid, but just to be aware that these are the type of things that are going on in the world that we're currently living in. And I just want you to be informed. That way you can make a plan to protect yourself and your family. Okay. You all make sure that you share this video Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and like the video if you find the information to be useful. All right, let me get back to my source. Give me just a moment here. Give me just a moment. I had it up, but then I closed it, so I had to go back in and reopen it. Okay. All right. So we talked about again. The topic is 10 real emergencies that you may want to prepare for. Again, not saying this is something that's going to happen, but I want you to know that um, either it has happened in other areas, there's a prediction that it may happen, or there is talks that it could possibly happen due to current things that are going on. There are talks that it could happen in the future. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let me keep going here. Thank you all so much for your support. Give me just a minute, y'all. Let me check something. All right. Thank you all so much, those who are watching now live, or if you're watching by replay. I was trying to figure out, I don't know if they're called bots, but there was like, um, there were a few comments in the chat that I couldn't understand what it was saying. So I just removed it. I'm not exactly sure what it is. But if you are watching and you are enjoying the episode, leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. We are live talking about 10 real emergencies that you may want to prepare for. Again, I have access to many different resources that I share with you to bring you news and commentary you can use. And one of my resources actually shared an article detailing, highlighting 10 real emergencies. Either they have happened or currently happening or could possibly happen in the future. And again, I'm sharing this information with you, not because I want to frighten you, like, oh my goodness, this is going to happen and all these things are going to happen. But I just want to make you aware so that you can make a plan to protect yourself and your family. Okay. All right. So let me keep going. All right. So the third real emergency, we just talked about contaminated water. And I have a question, y'all, since we're on this subject. Have you all heard? Now, I got this information from, I think this is a news station out of Florida. And it said that two local cities still show high concentrations of the you know what, you can see it on the screen. I had to kind of blot it out because you all know how that goes nowadays. It says two local cities still show high concentrations of you know what in wastewater. What is that about, y'all? Have y'all heard about that or seen that? What's going on with that? They're finding that this thing that is going on, um, that has um, that is directly tied to the pandemic is now showing up in wastewater. And let me say this, also going back to the previous slide and talking about contaminated public water, one of the solutions that the article does mention is making sure that you have a way to filter your water. So whether you purchase a water filtration system, um, you may want to consider in the event that, if there's a natural disaster or something happens to the public water system, that you have, you all know I've shared here on the channel where I talked about my family and I, we have water, a supply of water. You want to make sure that you can have clean drinking water to use to wash with, to cook with, to drink. Okay, so that's something that you may want to keep in mind. Okay. And again, y'all, going back, have you heard or seen anything in your area about they're saying that high levels of do you know what are showing up in wastewater? Okay, you all um let me know about that if you have any insight into that. I'm definitely going to it caught my eye because I'm like, wait a minute, what? This is showing up now in the water. And I know this is talking about wastewater, but how do we know that some kind of way it's not going to show up in the water that's coming out of the kitchen sink? So that's something that, I'm definitely going to be paying attention to and following this story as well. Okay. All right. Another potential emergency situation. History has shown us that this is possible, whether it's talks of this happening or countries who are testing missiles. But one of the emergencies that was brought to light or highlighted was nuclear missiles. Okay, so let's talk about that. The article says on January 12th, 2022, Fox News ran the headline, and I quote, North Korea claims success after second hypersonic missile test this week. Okay, so I haven't really done my research on North Korea to know what's going on there or why they are even doing missile tests, but it's definitely cause for concern, right? So that was a story back on January 12th. According to the article, Fox News ran the headline, North Korea claims success after second hypersonic missile test this week. Okay. Now, Fox News explains hypersonic weapons, which fly at speeds in excess of Mach 5 or 5 times the speed of sound. Listen to this, y'all. Could pose a crucial challenge to missile defense systems because of their speed and maneuverability. Okay, now the article says remember that North Korea isn't the only country America has to fear. Reuters, it says, reported in 2021 that China, in the midst of a rapid nuclear weapons buildup, will soon surpass Russia as the United States, and I quote, top nuclear threat. Okay. Isn't that something, y'all? In other words, the article says there is a real possibility, okay, that nuclear missiles may be launched at the United States in the future. Okay. Not saying that this is going to happen, but obviously, based on whatever is happening in the news between these countries, according to the article, they're saying that this is something that could happen in the future. Okay. One way the article says to prepare for nuclear threats is to purchase anti-radiation tablets. Now, on my website, preparewithandrea.com, you all know I actually did a video where I showed you some of the other products, emergency food supply survival needs that were on the site. But on my site right now, the anti-radiation tablets, y'all, are sold out. Okay. So I was telling my husband about like these are sold out. It's like, why? It kind of really makes you think like, okay, is there something that people know? Are there people that have actually been following this story about what's happening with nuclear missiles and in North Korea and China, and they know that there is something that may be coming in the future. Right now on my website, the anti-radiation tablets are sold out. And I'm not saying that to scare anyone, but it's just kind of alarming that, for whatever reason, the anti-radiation tablets are, they're sold out. Um, but it does say, the article says, one way to prepare for nuclear threats is to purchase anti-radiation tablets. Now, again, I'm reading from the article. I'm not telling you need to go out and find it or purchase it or take it. I've never taken them myself, so I don't know what they taste like or anything like that. But the article says that one way to prepare for nuclear threats is to purchase anti-radiation tablets, or um, they're also referred to as potassium iodate, which is an FDA, which the article says is an FDA approved drug that prevents the thyroid gland from absorbing the radioactive iodine that is released in a nuclear attack. Okay, so I really pray that none of us ever have to even think about anything like that. But for whatever reason, this is a product that is available, and on my site right now, it is sold out. Okay. All right. So the number 4 real emergency that we may want to prepare for, or I would even say keep in mind, um, is nuclear missiles. Okay. Moving right along. Natural disasters. You all know here on the channel, I reported on natural disasters. The article says, in addition to increased wildfires and bizarre winter storms, haven't we talked about that, y'all? We're seeing just overall the winter weather. I know in my area, this is a warmer winter than usual. Um, and so it's just unusual. I call it unusual weather patterns and events. Okay. So the article says, in addition to increased wildfires and bizarre winter storms, there has been an increase in other natural disasters, such as earthquakes and tornadoes. The December 2021 tornadoes were the deadliest in Kentucky history. Also in December 2021, the article says King 5 ran a headline that read, "Swarm of more than 50 earthquakes off Oregon's coast." According to the news article, the swarm of earthquakes in the Blanco fracture zone off the Oregon coast is part of a larger active system of faults, underwater volcanoes, and actively spreading ridges that raise the risk of a large earthquake along the coast of the Pacific Northwest. Okay. Number 6, real emergency, civil unrest. Civil unrest, y'all. In June 2020, several blocks in Seattle, this is according to the article, several blocks in Seattle, Washington were taken over by rioters and demonstrators, and the 6-block section was declared a police-free zone. As a result of the continued protest, Seattle lost a significant number of policemen and women. This is just one example, the article says, of many types of civil unrest Americans in large cities witnessed recently. If you live in an urban environment, you need to prepare differently from those in rural areas. Okay. All right. So civil unrest. Another emergency that the article mentioned is chemical emergency. The article says 2 jet fuel spills took place in the Navy's Red Hill Reservoir outside of Pearl Harbor in 2021, which made several children sick. Okay, according to Fox News, the Hawaii Department of Health reports that starting November 28th, the first of about 500 total complaints began pouring in. People near the leak reported a fuel of chemical people near the leak reported a, and I quote, fuel or chemical smell from their drinking water. Again, going back to drinking water, y'all. People near the leak reported a fuel or chemical smell from their drinking water. Families have since reported a range of illnesses and small burns and irritation on children's bodies. The Navy has begun the daunting task of flushing the water out of the 93,000 homes and buildings and then testing the water in each structure. People will not be able to return home until Hawaii's Department of Health ultimately rules the water supply safe. There is no timeline or estimated completion date. Okay, unfortunately, the article says chemical emergencies happen more often than we realize. Therefore, staying aware and having access, we talked about, to clean water or emergency drinking water and shelter is critical. Okay, so the picture that I have here on the screen, in the event of a chemical emergency, you have to have trained, skilled people to come in. You can see they have on what looks like hazmat suits, their protective gear to go in and to clean and treat the chemical emergency. Okay. All right. The next emergency on our list, number 8, is cyber attacks. Cyber attacks. In today's society, the article says most things rely on the internet. Would you all agree with that? Most things rely on the internet. When it comes to emergency preparedness, the article says this means considering what will be affected if there are cyber attacks. Now, in addition to hackers attacking water supplies, which we just talked about, well, actually, I reported on that. Well, that was actually fuel supplies, but in the you all know, here on the channel I did a video where hackers hacked into the Colonial pipeline. It disrupted the fuel delivery fuel system. But then also we talked about how in Florida, I touched on in the previous slide, I talked about how in Florida hackers tapped into the water supply to intentionally manipulate and cause harm. Okay, so cyber attacks are real, and it's something that we should be aware of and concerned about. Now, the article says, in addition to hackers attacking water supplies, cyber attacks have essentially held companies hostage, such as the Colonial Pipeline event in May 2021. I did a video on that, y'all. The article says this ransomware attack led to the shutdown of the pipeline, which caused a gas shortage in the southeastern United States. In other countries, hackers have managed to take the power grids down, which means this is a possibility here too. Okay. The article does suggest investing in solar power tools and never let your gas tank hit E. Okay. So you all know I shared a couple of videos back how my family and I, my husband, he said that, we're pretty much going to keep our vehicles filled up. And so, again, not trying to tell you what to do, but with everything going on nowadays, I definitely think it wouldn't be a bad idea, if you're able to, keep your gas tank as full as possible. Okay. Also, the solar power. I know we recently invested in solar power, and I'll be sharing that on my video where I talk about some emergency items. I'll share that. Okay. All right, number 9. Number 9 on the list. Actually, let me highlight this. Now, this information comes from Bloomberg, and it says hackers breach Colonial Pipeline using compromised passwords. So again, you all know, those who follow the channel, you all know I did a video talking about the Colonial Pipeline cyber attack. It says investigators. The caption says investigators suspect hackers got passwords from dark web leak, and the Colonial CEO hopes the U.S. goes after criminal hackers abroad. Number 9 on the list of real emergencies is terrorism. It says, sadly, terrorism is a real threat to Americans, whether homegrown, radical groups, gangs, or terrorist threats from abroad. Should you find yourself, the article says, in a terrorist situation, you need to know how to get yourself out of the situation safely. One way, the article says, to protect yourself is to act as a gray man, staying aware of potential threats and blending in without drawing attention to yourself. In addition to foreign terror threats, VOA reports, and I quote, U.S. national security and law enforcement agencies are battling what they describe as a significant jump in threats from domestic terrorists. All right. And then last on the list of 10 real emergencies to consider preparing for is epidemics. Okay, epidemics. It says no matter your feelings around what's currently going on, we can all admit that it made things difficult. Okay, went through a lot of challenges, right? I think we all can say that, over these almost going into 3 years now, that there have been several challenges, disruptions, just different things have happened, all centered around the pandemic. We can all admit, the article says, that things have been difficult, from schools shutting downs to supply chain disruptions, empty grocery store shelves. Sound familiar? We talked about that on yesterday. We were reminded of how important it is to have emergency supplies and backup plans. Okay. The article also says don't be caught unaware, prepare friends, stay alert. Okay. So you all let me know your thoughts in the comments, in the chat. Let me know your thoughts on the 10 real emergency situations that you may want to consider preparing for. Hello, everyone who is tuning in. Thank you all so much for your support. Someone shared better late than not. Good evening. Be safe out here. Yes, yes. Same to you. Thank you so much for your support. So, again, y'all, just to recap, if you're just tuning in, I came on tonight. Our topic was, or our topic is 10 real emergencies that you may want to prepare for. Again, this information is not meant to scare you or frighten you, but to make you aware that, hey, these are things that are happening in the real world. Something that we should, keep in our minds and say, hey, if this were to happen, I don't want you to be worried. I want you to be aware, but I want you to keep in mind and say, you know what, if this were to happen, does my family and I, do we have the things that we need to prepare and sustain through whatever the emergency is? So this time, as I was going up through each slide, I counted up. So this time I'll count down. So we talked about epidemics, the current situation that we're going in. We talked about terrorism being an emergency, cyber attacks, chemical emergency, civil unrest. We also talked about natural disasters, nuclear missiles, contaminated public water. We talked about the situation that happened most recently on I-95 in Virginia with the interstate winter weather. And we talked about wildfires. Okay. All right. So again, y'all, these were 10 real emergencies that you may want to consider preparing for. Again, emergencies happen. Sometimes we are warned, hey, this is what's coming. Sometimes things just happen so suddenly that there's no forewarning. So emergencies happen, but I want to ask the question: are you ready? Are you prepared with the things that you and your family may need? So again, y'all, this has been another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. I want to say I appreciate your support so much. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're just now joining, because I know I have supporters all across the United States, all across the world. So it may be earlier, it may be early for you, it may be later, but feel free to go back and watch the replay. And I would like to know your thoughts in the comments on the information that I shared. Do you agree that these are real emergencies? Do you have any that you would add to the list that weren't named? Let me know your thoughts. I want to know your thoughts and your comments. So again, y'all, this has been another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. I will be back live again. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to come on. You all make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you can stay informed and connected when I do upload new content. A lot is going on. There's still more topics that we need to cover, but make sure also, if you are on Instagram, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Andrea Speaks TV. Again, my Instagram is at Andrea Speaks TV. I'll be posting topics there as well. And if you see a topic that I post about and you say, maybe you want to share your thoughts or comments, just put it in the Instagram in the comments, and let's have a conversation about it. So again, if you're on Instagram, follow me. And also, since we covered the topic of emergency situations, make sure you check out my website, preparewithandrea.com, to get your emergency food supply and your survival needs. Y'all know I have been talking about the emergency food kits. Now, y'all, this is not the only thing. This is not the only solution my family and I have. So you all know I have shared with you the emergency food kits. This is a 4-week food supply. I highly encourage you to get your emergency food kit. Now, this is not the only emergency food we have. Of course, we have canned foods. I'm going to start canning food. I have everything I pretty much need. Um, I just got to do it. And, canning takes time. As I've been doing my research and I'm thinking about back when I grew up seeing my grandmother and mother can, it takes time, right? It takes time. So I'm definitely going to be doing that. And then we also have a home garden. So many, many different ways that we're able to have a food supply and create more items for our food supply. But if you go on my website, preparewithandrea.com, I do have the emergency food kits there for you to get. Um, Let me just go through. Hold on just a minute, y'all. I'm going to go through the slides so I get on the correct one. Okay, so this is the emergency kit, the food kit that I just showed. Again, you can go to my website, preparewithandrea.com. I just showed you the 4-week food supply, the 4-week emergency food supply. It comes in 2 buckets. I only picked up one. Over 2,000 calories a day, which is, I believe, the recommended daily consumption amount. 16 different varieties of breakfast, lunches, dinners, and snacks. 25-year shelf life, y'all. So not saying that it's going to be something that you use today or tomorrow, but it is there. And the way that it's packaged and prepared, it does have a 25-year shelf life and free shipping and handling. So right now you can get the 4-week emergency food supply kit for $247. They do have a buy now, pay later option, but it is definitely something that I feel like would be very useful in your emergency food uh, supply. So even if you say, you know what, Andrea, I'm sitting up here thinking I don't have any, you may be saying, wait a minute, I don't have any type of emergency food setup or anything. Let me go ahead and get started. By all means, go ahead and get started. And so if you do place an order on my site, you can email me at Andrea speakstv at gmail.com so that I can keep up with your order and make sure everything is just a smooth process for you. Again, this is not just something I'm telling you about. These are products that my family and we have for ourselves. Okay. All right, y'all. So this has been another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. I want to say thank you all so much for your support. I pray that you all take care. You all be well, you and your families. And I'll see you back soon on another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. You all make sure you subscribe so that we can stay connected, share information with each other. And I just appreciate your support. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Andrea Speaks TV. Y'all take care, and I'll see you again soon. Good night.